Madam President, I rise for today to support the nomination of and confirming Judge Neil M. Gorsuch to the United States Supreme Court. I do so with mixed emotions because I believe that the action taken in order to achieve this position will have lasting effect that are unfortunate on this body as far as comity is concerned, but also the confirmation of future judges of the Supreme Court by 51 votes. Rather than go back to the history of what former Majority Leader Reid did in regard to judges and what we're doing now, I am very concerned about the future, which will then, with only a 51 vote majority required, will lead to a polarization of the nominees as far as their philosophies are concerned, when the majority does not have to consider the concerns and the votes of the minority. My focus on the Democrats' unprecedented filibuster of Judge Gorsuch's nomination to the United States Supreme Court and the Senate's regrettable action yesterday to invoke the nuclear option on Supreme Court nominees. I have been remiss in not taking the time to describe for the American people why I support strongly and without qualification confirming Judge Gorsuch to serve as an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Why I do so is very simple. Rarely has this body seen a nominee to the Supreme Court so well qualified, so skilled, with such a command of constitutional jurisprudence, with such an established record of independence and such judicial temperament than Judge Gorsuch. It is, in fact, exactly for these very reasons that this very body unanimously voted in 2006 to confirm this very judge, the same judge, to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit. Yet now, the other side would have the American people believe that this very same judge lies firmly outside the mainstream and is therefore otherwise unacceptable to serve in the nation's highest court. Even by the standards of this body, this sophistry is breathtaking. Let me take a moment to join the chorus of support among my colleagues and recount why Judge Gorsuch is so deserving of this body's support for confirmation to the Supreme Court. First and foremost, Judge Gorsuch is a world-class jurist. On the U.S. Appellate Court for the 10th Circuit, Judge Gorsuch has maintained the lowest rate of other judges dissenting from his opinion. Indeed, according to the Congressional Research Service, only 1.5% of Judge Gorsuch's majority opinions were accompanied by a dissent, the lowest of any judge in that study. Notably, the U.S. Supreme Court has never overruled any of Judge Gorsuch's opinions, not a single one. Furthermore, in the more than 2,700 cases Judge Gorsuch participated in, 97% of them were decided unanimously, and Judge Gorsuch was in the majority 99% of the time. These are facts. In addition, the U.S. Supreme Court overruled an opinion where Judge Gorsuch sat on the panel only one time. While serving on that court, Judge Gorsuch built an exceptional reputation for his fair-minded, articulate, and sharp intellect. Stanford President Michael McConnell, who served with Judge Gorsuch on the 10th Circuit, characterized Judge Gorsuch as a, quote, an independent thinker, never a party liner, and, quote, one of the best writers in the judiciary today. He sets forth all positions fairly and gives real reasons, not just conclusions, for siding with one and rejecting the other. Second, Judge Gorsuch has one of the most impressive professional and academic backgrounds this body has ever seen. He graduated from Columbia University, cum laude, and Phi Beta Kappa, and cum laude from Harvard Law School. He also obtained a doctorate degree in philosophy from Oxford University and served as a Truman and Marshall Scholar. Additionally, he clerked for U.S. Circuit Court Judge David Sentell and Supreme Court Justices Byron White and Anthony Kennedy. Judge Gorsuch also served as Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General at the Department of Justice before serving as a judge on the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit. For all of these achievements, Judge Gorsuch has earned the highest possible rating from a group the Minority Leader Schumer calls, quote, the gold standard for evaluating judicial nominations. Finally, Judge Gorsuch has established himself as an exceptional nominee. Indeed, Judge Gorsuch's appearance before the Senate Judiciary Committee was extraordinary. In the course of the 3 rounds of questioning by that committee, each member had the opportunity to quiz Judge Gorsuch for over an hour each on just about every aspect of constitutional law. In answering about 1,200 questions from the panel, he demonstrated almost peerless mastery over that field. Furthermore, Judge Gorsuch's nomination, with the help of my friend and former member of this body, Kelly Ayotte, was exemplary in its transparency. Before his hearing and in response to the judiciary's request, Judge Gorsuch provided over 70 pages of written answers about his personal record and over 75,000 pages of documents, including speeches, case briefs, and opinion, which, by the way, makes you wonder why he wanted the job. But anyway, White House Archives and the Document of Justice similarly produced over 1,800 pages, 180,000 pages of documents related to Judge Gorsuch's time at the DOJ. The Department of Justice, moreover, provided access to reams of documents that would ordinarily be subject to claims of privilege. However, in the spirit of cooperation and in the hope of truly bipartisan consideration, the Department of Justice provided my friends on the other side access to these records anyway. Additionally, in response to almost 300 separate questions posed by Democrats on the committee, Judge Gorsuch provided another 70 pages of written responses and did so within a week of receiving them to give my friends sufficient time to review the answers before the committee vote and floor consideration of his nomination. Despite all that I just said, despite everything that I just said, my friends on the other side would have the American people believe that Judge Gorsuch lies firmly out of the mainstream and hopelessly obfuscated his judicial philosophy. My friends, when you do that with a man, an individual that qualified, you lose credibility. For all the reasons I just went through, that is simply untrue. Moreover, when many of my friends on the other side had the opportunity to question Judge Gorsuch over the 20 hours they had with him during his confirmation hearing, they contented themselves with asking Judge Gorsuch for his personal opinions on issues that could come before him if he is confirmed to the court. In addition, they passed hypotheticals they knew he, for ethical and prudential reasons, could not possibly be expected to answer. Here's some straight talk. The real reason why most of my friends on the other side oppose Judge Gorsuch's confirmation is that President Trump nominated him, because their base of support and related special interests on the far left have been upset about President Trump's election in November. The fact is that if most of my colleagues my friends on the other side of the aisle are opposed to this nominee, they will oppose any nominee put forward by this president or any Republican president for that matter. Mr. President, the record is clear. Judge Gorsuch's qualifications, knowledge, skill, judicial temperament, and record of independence are truly exceptional. For these reasons, he has earned my strong and unqualified support for his confirmations, the nation's highest court. Could I just make one additional comment? I know my friend from Utah is waiting. When President Obama and presidents before them were elected from both parties, it was pretty much the standard procedure here in the United States Senate to give the incoming president the benefit of the doubt. In other words, the American people, by electing the President of the United States, had also basically endorsed his responsibility and his right to nominate judges to the courts. That just is sort of a given. because the American people spoke in their selection of the President of the United States, taking in consideration those responsibilities that the President would have. So therefore, for those reasons, I voted for most of President Obama's nominees, as I did most of President Clinton's nominees. Now we're in a position where we are so polarized that even a man of the qualifications of Judge Gorsuch is now opposed by our friends on the other side of the aisle. I say to my friends on the other side of the aisle, and I say to my friends on this side of the aisle, that's not the way the Senate was designed to work. The United States Senate was designed for us to communicate, for us to work together, for us to understand the results and repercussions of a free and fair election. And it's about time that we sat down together and tried to do some things for the American people in a bipartisan fashion. And this near hysterical opposition that I see from my friends on the other side of the aisle does not bode well for what we know we need to do.